Hello everyone, welcome to my sewing room. My name is Carole and this is my channel Sew Carole. I have used up 9.5 fat quarters this week. Yep, last week in my hashtag Friday Sews I said I needed to start dipping into my fat quarter stash, especially before the next seasons come and the Christmas ones, and then I want to buy more Christmas fat quarters. So I have made lots of fat quarter projects this week using 9.5, loads more to go, but I can't wait to talk to you about that and show you all the things and how I went about it. And also I've got one garment to show you this week, which actually was a pattern that was released last year. Now normally I do patterns from a few years ago, but this one was released last year and I'm really pleased with it. So I can't wait to sit and chat to you all about what I've been up to. As this is a hashtag Friday Sews, and let's not forget it was started by the lovely Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. I'll also have a little bit of a life update at the end and a funny story. It proves I'm getting older because we had a concert with my orchestra on Monday night and I have to tell you what I did. So stick around to that bit at the end because that will give you a giggle. Right, fat quarter projects. So it was my mission this week. Never mind all the things that I said I was going to do in last week's Friday Sews. I thought I'll get my whiteboard out and you know I use this every now and again, and I'll write down some ideas and then I'll keep a tally of how many fat quarters I've been using. So now, I mean, yes, we can make pouches and we can make purses and wallets and things like that, but do we need them all? They're lovely to have and lovely for gifts. But I thought if I'm going to use these fat quarters, then it's got to be something I know I'm going to use, without a doubt. So every one of these projects I needed. I didn't just make for the sake of it. So first of all, I made 2 table mats to go when we sat outside having a meal. Now we got 2 for the kitchen that I made, and I coated them in a kind of oddie coat lining. These I haven't. Might regret that, but it's going to be wasp season it is wasp season in the UK at the moment. I am petrified of wasps. And I saw these fat quarters that I had, bee ones, and I was thinking, if I actually put my meal on those outside, would it deter any wasps? Would they think there's bees? I don't know. Let's give it a try. As I said, I'm petrified of wasps. I do everything I can to avoid it. Eating out in the summer, drinks, everything covered. But apparently in the UK this year, we're going to have a bumper crop because it's been so warm. So I'm preparing myself. So let's see if this philosophy works. Very simple. We've got wadding in between, 2 layers. Just turn them inside out. And then you stitch around the side, and I've just done some wavy lines this time round. I normally do kind of diamonds, but keeping it simple. So that's my hopefully 2 wasp deterrent table mats. It might go completely the other way. I'll report back. Next thing I made up was some pattern weights. Now I do use pins to keep my patterns down when I'm cutting them out, but I do find these pattern weights really, really handy, and I made these years and years ago. I think it was a Pinterest pattern, so it's basically just a big triangle and then you fold it in. So filled with rice, I had a few of these and I thought brilliant. I could do with some more, mainly because the grandchildren use them for kind of almost beanbag toss in the summer as well. So they can have all my old ones now. So I have made, out of 1 fat quarter, I made a bag and 6 of these little pattern weights. They are really heavy actually. So I could not get my head round, obviously I know it's got to be a triangle and then you turn it in. I couldn't get my head round how I did it, so I had to unpick one of mine and then piece together how you do it. So you would sew 2 seams and then you sew the next seam and then you hand sew that one up. Really simple. It's an 8-inch triangle if you wanted to know. That's all it is, 8 inches. So I'm really pleased because I've got my 6 and they all fit in this neat little bag, drawstring included from the Fat Square. So that was a really good use, and that could be a really gift for a sewing friend. The next project, now I know I am so late to the party on this project because everybody makes them and everybody's made them Christmas after Christmas, but I think it was last year or the year before, my lovely friend Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room sent me a bowl cozy for the microwave. Now it fits our smaller bowls really well, but every morning I have porridge and every morning I heat my slightly bigger bowl up in the microwave, and I get hot burnt fingers pulling it out. But this one was just a bit too small, so I thought I'm going to make some because they are really good. Here we go. So this was the bowl. Now all the patterns I could find online said 10-inch squares to start with. By the way, I thought these would be really complicated to make. Typical me. They're not. They're so easy. Absolutely so easy. Great fun. So I got my bigger bowl and I thought, you know, I'm going to go 11 inches. I'm just going to risk doing 11 inches and it is the perfect size. So I am really happy. Now, so I made 2 of these using 2 fat quarters, and appropriately it was tea time. Well, cakes, well it isn't really because it's my porridge in the morning, but I am really happy, and so this is the second one, but I've been using the other one. So I'm definitely going to make some more of those, and I can see why now everybody makes bowl cozies. Okay, next project. I did say last week I wanted to make another hat, and this is the Elbe Sorrento hat, but I wanted it for walking, so I wanted to reduce the brim in a bit because sometimes I can't see the person next to me when I'm walking. So I did actually make it. This was a bit of linen, rammy linen that I had, and inside I used a fat quarter. I love this moon and the stars. Oh, just love the colours on that. So I'll put it on, but it'll mess my hair up. So it is slightly, I think it's a better size brim on me actually. The other one's slightly bigger, but so I wore that nice and light, much lighter than the other one. The other one I made recently was denim. So yeah, knew I'd mess my hair up. That was it. That was another fat quarter used. So 2 more to go. So this one here, this is kind of an invention I did many years ago. I'd say 10-15 years ago. Is a kind of a door closer, but a gentle door closer if you've got grandchildren around or a dog, as we had them. So what it was, I basically used to hang rice bags, covered rice bags from, I will put a picture in or some film in. So above the top of a door frame, I will hammer in a picture hook. This is the original, so don't look. And then you would hang this over the top and then over the door, and the weight of it will slow the door down and it will shut it. As you come into our house, in our hallway, we have a cloakroom just to the side, and I absolutely hate it if that door is open, because otherwise the first thing guests see is the toilet. And I've just got a thing about that. And again, as you come up our stairs and turn the corner, you can just see a toilet if no one shut the door. So this is why I made them. So originally, yes, I did the bag and I had the rice in it, but I had these safety pins and I used to tie the Austrian blind cord I use with sellotape. That's when I actually took it down. The reason I made it is because it actually fell down because this had all worn through. When I actually remade it, I thought, come on, I can do better than that now. I'm a better sewist now. So and this is where the half fat quarter came in, because it only took half a fat quarter. So we now have, I'll show you that way because the beach huts are the right way on that way. So I now have this one here and I've made the loops for it to go through. This was a prototype. I don't know what I was thinking, this bit here. So let's just ignore that. The thing was, if you just had it there, it would scrunch together, and I tried to keep it so it was more outright. Ignore me. I'm just thinking as I was sewing and I was inventing. So that, and I will put it footage of me shutting the door and you will see. but I'm really, really pleased with that. But that only used half a fat quarter, but I do have another one to make. So, oh, when I took this one apart to get the bag of rice out, because it had been so long, the bag, I was in a plastic bag, the bag broke everywhere and I had rice all over my sewing table and all over the floor. Brilliant. So that was that one. So the last thing I used, the last fat quarter I used was for my next garment, which I'm going to show you now. Very recently I bought some fabric from Beyond the Pink Door. It was that white antique washed cotton that I made the Ethel top from last week from Style Art Patterns. But they also had this beautiful piece of linen. They had 0.8 meters out of it, and I really fancied making a pair of shorts out of that. So I did. I just got it out with the help of a fat quarter. So this is the pattern. It's Simplicity 9923. As I said, it came out last year. I bought it initially for these trousers, and I didn't. I made the pair of shorts from it because very recently I watched the lovely Izzy from Dizzy Quilts and Sews saying that Bermuda shorts were in. So excellent, I thought. Down, out go the short shorts and in come the long shorts. Now, I'm not going to talk much about this because I will actually do a pattern review. As it's a fairly new pattern, I'll do a pattern review, so I'll do a separate video for that. Something I don't often do, but because I didn't come across many of these, I'm going to do a review. But all to say, what I love about this so much is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's all the extra pocket details. Like the front has this extra, it's got the lovely sort of pockets that you put on top of trousers, which I love, but it's got this extra kind of seaming bit there. Everything is kind of double stitched. Even on the back you have this extra flap here and double stitched. Obviously zip up the front. So where did the fat quarter go? It went there. Yep, I didn't have, obviously with 0.8 meter I did so well to get these shorts out of it. I couldn't get the facings out, so I used a fat quarter and I'm really pleased. I will just say I have stopped doing, you know, if you stitch in the ditch with this or you stitch along, I've stopped doing that and I've gone back to hand sewing it down because it's so much nicer finish rather than a kind of wobbly line here. So I will show you of course footage of me wearing them. I'm really, really pleased with them. They are slightly different for me, being that bit longer, but so very different to all the other shorts I've made. But I am really, really pleased with them. But I will do a proper review for these, tell you my thoughts on the pattern. Coming up shortly, I should imagine, next week or the week after. So going back to my fat quarters, I've got lots more things that I wrote down that I need. So I will be doing a few more of those projects next week if you're interested in seeing just how I'm using up my fat quarters. But I didn't think 9.5 was bad going in a week. This is editing Carole now. When I went to edit the video, I noticed something, and for all you maths geniuses out there, you probably worked out that I was about 2 fat quarters too short in my addition. That's because I forgot to show you these. These are the bias binding strips I actually made using 2 fat quarters. Now they were fat quarters that I received in a subscription box that were really quite wishy-washy in colour, and I knew I probably wouldn't ever use them for making something, but I thought they'd be perfect bias binding. So I did 2 fat quarters with them, and I followed a short, you know, where you make the fat quarter into 2 triangles and then you draw lines and then you sew it offset and then you can just cut and cut and cut and you get like 11 feet of bias binding just out of 1 fat quarter. So I'm going to link that down below, but yeah, for your maths geniuses out there, that's your missing 2. The next thing I have to show you was just a fun little thing. I went to see my parents this week, and you know my dad is quite crafty, in the carpentry sense, and he's made me my fabric wheel in the past and all sorts of things. All sorts of things around my sewing room he's made me. One thing I haven't showed you for a long time, I'll just dig it out. He actually made me this sewing needle box, which is brilliant and I use all the time. So it's portioned off, and he got the holes exactly right, as you can see. And I can see which are my stretch, fine needles. I've got 2 of these now. Yeah, you just slot it back in there so you know which one you're using. But I did the decoration. But yeah, he's made me 2 of those, and they're just absolutely brilliant with a felt bottom. So what did he make me? Well, I went to see him this week and I said, you couldn't make me something for a sewing problem I have. So I do a lot of tailor tacking, old-fashioned, double, tailor tacking. And very often I've got a bright bit of sort of cotton reel on cotton, and you're pulling it and the cotton reel's flying all over the table and it just drives me insane. So I said, you couldn't make me kind of a spool holder just for the table, could you, that I can just pull? Obviously we've got these spool holders up here, but I wanted kind of a flat one that would sit on the table, just a couple. And he said, what do you mean, like this? He had made this for my mum when she used to do a lot of sewing years ago. This was absolutely perfect. So I just keep some bright colours because it's for tailor tack, and all I know do is just pull it off there. And because it's got the sticky base on the bottom as well, it's a nice weight and it just stands on my table, and I can now just pull the thread. So I've just got it there for any basting or any. Honestly, a simple thing like that has saved the frustration of pulling a cotton reel and then it just flies off the table. So really, really pleased with that. Thank you, Dad. You will see behind me my results from my fabric wheel video that came up, not the hat, but this was this slippy fabric, and it was an ombre, but I used, as you can see, the lighter at the bottom, and then I used the lighter around the neckline. That was using New Look 6575, not meant to be a beach cover up, but I use it as a beach cover up. So release that this week. I will also have in a couple of weeks a fabric haul. I've actually bought some pieces of fabric recently, so I've been saving them up, and I will show you. It won't be a big fabric haul, but I have got some new pieces, which is quite exciting because I haven't, apart from the odd bit, say like that one piece of linen, I haven't bought a chunk of fabric in a long time, and I found I was getting really short on jersey. So I'm going to bring you a little fabric haul, and I did get a couple of patterns as well. So all exciting stuff coming up on the channel. I haven't told you what I'm wearing. Again, do you know this was a result of a fabric wheel about 3 series ago? It's the Donny shirt. It was this strange viscose fabric, not a very nice quality viscose kind of chalet fabric, but I love it. I wear this all the time. I will just stand up for you because I want to show you I've got some Simplicity trousers on as well, made out of linen, and it really goes well, and I absolutely love this Donny shirt. As I say, I wear it all the time. So that is what I'm wearing. Now, what am I going to be sewing next week? Well, I've already talked about doing some fat quarters. There's also another pattern that I've had here. This is sort of my patterns to be filed and patterns to do. And I've just had this one t-shirt pattern that I've been desperate to try. Let me see if I can get it. So this is a pattern I've had from forever. When does it? I don't even know when it goes back to. 2016. That's 10 years next year. There, and I know I wouldn't make the dress and I wouldn't make that just to go over it, but it's this simple kind of jersey top with this strange cutout lining. I've had this, and every time I go to put it away back in my files, I think, no, I really must make that. So I'd like to think I could try and make it. As I say, so the dress will have this kind of split angled portion here, but the t-shirt just has a little bit of a hint of it. Maybe I'll get to do that next week. So those are the things I shall be bringing you next week, and obviously working on my fabric wheel. Now, life, the bit of life. So busy weekend. My daughter was, it was the town carnival, and my daughter did a lot of singing. She was sort of singing with the band and then with her choir, and then she also did a duet with a guy that she sings with in the choir. So that's really good. So that was most of the day. So I had the boys. It was a super hot day in the UK that Saturday. Instead of getting the paddling pool out, we have got a big rubber dinghy we've had for years, for when our children were small. So I filled that with some water, sort of about that deep. Didn't have any oars, so I gave them some spades. They had a ball in that. Honestly, I was jealous because it was so hot. So I just did things like that with them over the weekend. I've done a walk this week where we saw a 600-year-old oak tree, which is incredible. Actually, on the sign it said it goes back as far as when the Pilgrims went to America, and you just can't get your head around something being that old and still alive. So I will put a picture of that up in the end, as well as some other pictures, of course. We've had some gorgeous weather the end of last week. It is changing now, so I headed down to the beach with my daughter and my grandson, one of my grandsons, last Friday, and we also went down on Sunday. So I will put those beach pictures in as well. But what happened at my orchestra concert? I'm almost ashamed to tell everybody. So just before, I'm not very good at the oboe. I get by. As I'm getting older now, I'm getting more and more nervous and flustered for concerts. Now, I've been in this particular orchestra for nearly 20 years and I've done about 50 concerts, but that's not made it any easier for me. So I practiced before I went. I made sure I put my music in the bag, left, got there. We have a big room where everybody puts everything, and then we gradually bring our stuff through into sort of the concert room and we set everything up. And it was about 5 minutes to go, and I thought, oh, I brought my music in. So I went in to go back and get my music, could not find it anywhere. And I thought, oh, I must have left it in the car. Went down to the car, couldn't find it in the car. And then I thought, Carole, did you really put that music in after you practiced that afternoon? And I just assumed I hadn't. So, as I say, 5 minutes to go, I went in. I've got a lovely friend next to me, a clarinet player, and she doesn't have sheet music because we print all our music now. She has it all on a big Samsung tablet. Genius. So anyway, I said, look, I can't, I'm going to have to go home. I'm going to pack my stuff and go home. And she said, oh, no, you're not. She said, I know you. You'll want to get away with not playing this concert. You're playing this concert. We will find a way. So, oh my goodness, bless her. If you know about orchestras, you know that the oboe has to tune the rest of the orchestra. So by this point, I couldn't do anything other than sit there and tune. I think it's because it's the loudest instrument or the most piercing. So you have to tune everybody. So I couldn't do any more. Meanwhile, she sat there, she's downloading all my music for me. It was brilliant. So first piece came up. Yeah, obviously we played. She managed to get my piece and hers up side by side on the tablet. That was brilliant. But there was one piece we couldn't do, so I had to do it on my phone. So I downloaded the music onto my phone, and I'm having to sort of scroll through and play and scroll up on my phone. Honestly. Moral of the story, I didn't even think about performing. All I could think of was where my next piece of music was coming. And it was the most relaxed and most fun concert I've ever done. And the same for my friend next to me. She said, yeah, that made a dull concert very exciting. It did actually go very well. Anyway, so I just left there, got home, went to look for the music, could not find the music anywhere. It wasn't at home. And then my husband checked the door cam. So we got door cams and by the garage where I would go into my car. And he could see that I had the file of music in my bag as I went into the car. Where was the file of music? We'll never know, but it has been picked up. What I think happened was I put my stuff down and someone else put stuff, say, on top of mine, because it's quite a jumble, this room. And when I flew back in to find the piece of music, I was obviously in a panic state and didn't see it. So there we go. All in all, it was a tense concert, but it made it fun. And I didn't even think about the performing side. I was just so concentrated on where my next bit of music was coming from. I hope you like this. Nothing to do with sewing, but I really hope you like that story. It just shows how scatterbrained I can be sometimes. I really hope you've enjoyed this Friday Sews. It's always a little bit of everything, isn't it? It's a bit of what we're sewing, it's a bit of life, and we just get to sit and chat one-to-one, because this is my sewing release of the week, where I can sit and chat about sewing to you guys, because nobody else wants to hear about it. Although The Great British Sewing Bee TV series is back on our channels this week. So there is the odd person that does mention to me, oh, did you see the programme? And then I can talk about sewing. So it's back. Series 1. I'm gonna like this series. I can tell I'm gonna like this series. Right, I'm going to leave it there. As I say, thank you so much for joining me in my sewing room today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, then I would love it if you would join me. I very rarely ask, but I thought today, I'm feeling brave. Why not ask you? I will see you soon. Have a wonderful weekend, whatever you're doing, whatever you're crafting. We are going away down to the holiday home, and I might take some fat quarter projects with me to do. Instead of crochet this time, I'll take some fat quarter, maybe, because I missed not sewing down there last weekend. Have a wonderful time. As I said, thank you for joining me, and I will see you soon. Goodbye for now.